Hello, fellow witches and wizards. My name is Phoenix Jenny, and welcome back to Scratches, the director's cut. Okay, so as you know, if you've watched the other videos, we're playing this game to prepare for Agustin Cordes' new game. He's the creator of this game, Scratches, and he's coming out with a new game called Asylum. And today it has been released. Today, as of this recording, March 13th, the game is now out, so check it out. And it'll be linked in the description. And it is 10% off right now until March 20th. So get it now because it's a little cheaper now. But it's not that expensive of a game anyway. It was supposed to come out last week, but apparently they wanted to recast the protagonist due to player feedback. I guess they had some people test out the game and they didn't really like the protagonist. Yeah, they just switched up voice actors, but the game is now out, so feel free to check it out, link in the description. But for now, we're playing Scratches, and I want to finish that up before we play that game. So without further ado, let's get into day 3. This is the last day of the game, and this is the scariest, the longest, and hardest day, as you might expect. And I will be playing the last visit. That'll be next week's video. And then the week after that, it'll be, I'll do my first playthrough of Asylum. But let's get started. There's a lot to do. So our last day, I think we should probably do what we start every day with, and that's talk to our friend Jerry. And my hand is on the keyboard like I'm going to be using it. I always forget that this game doesn't work that way. It was incredibly cold inside the house now. Ooh, chilly. Why don't we start a fire? Let's use one of our handy dandy matches, right? Am I right? Oh, yeah. Forget how to use the UI. I'm no pyromaniac. What do you mean? I thought you were supposed to... Do I need to click on it first? An impressive fireplace and surprisingly clean too, although it hadn't been used in a long time. Uh-huh. Yes, it's cold. Am I wrong on how you start a fire? Okay. Alright, well, I've started a fire, so that's done. Okay. So, now we'll talk to Jared.
Who is it?
It's me.
The ghost hunter. Any contact with the other world yet?
Actually, I'm not sure. Jerry, I'm definitely not alone in this house.
What are you talking about?
Last night I saw something down below. It was moving. I wasn't dreaming, and I'm not making this up.
Are you sure it wasn't a mutant rat?
Definitely no rat.
I'm calling the police.
No, not just yet.
Michael, for Christ's sake. You could have a burglar inside the house.
This is no burglar, Jerry. It's much more interesting than that. And I want to figure this out by myself.
Oh,
Have you
speaking of
taken
which, you should
leave
read
of
the
your
journal.
senses?
Just promise me you won't call anyone. I can do this on my own.
Whatever. Just call me if you need any help. I'm driving there today.
Right. Bye.
Okay. You also can't call Barbara on this day either because she's off Mondays. Or at least this Monday she's off. Okay, let's read the journal. See if there's anything new. I just wrote a few words for my new book, but I'm far from satisfied. It sounds too much like cheap writing. What's worse, I realized that all the time while I was working, I was in reality thinking about the Blackwood mystery. Also, I noticed in my previous video, I called it Blackmore Manor at some point in the game, which is really funny. There's no point to it. I just can't do it. I can't write. At least not until I solve the mystery of Blackwood Manor. I guess I'm done for today. The many adventures I have had left me very tired, so I'll be heading back to bed earlier today. I have a premonition, though. I think that tomorrow will be the day I make great progress resolving the Blackwood mystery. I just know it. Again, the scratching sounds. What could possibly be causing them? I'd better hurry up and look into this before they stop. Have I just seen a vision, product of being tired? After all, I'm bound to expect strange occurrences whilst wandering at midnight through a decrepit old house. But the cold sweat on my forehead has brought me to my senses. I know it was very real. I may be insane. I should probably race out of the house and never return, but I just want to go back to bed. Yeah. I need to sleep, clear my mind a little bit. Perhaps I'm too tired to realize that I'm not alone in this place. Another day inside Blackwood Manor. Fortunately, the rain has stopped. Somehow I feel renewed with energy. It's like the past night was just a bad dream. I'm almost doubting it never happened. But still, I feel strangely optimistic. I have to keep going. Okay, yes. Alright, so we're going to start by making a phone call to the bank. 0, 1, 9, 1, 2, 9, 4, 1, 4, 4.
Good day, the National Bank of Northumberland. Robert Blake speaking.
Hello, Robert. I need some help.
Okay, so you get different responses depending on which name you pick. It doesn't really matter as far as the story goes. But you do get different conversation topics. The conversation goes a little different way. You're still not successful in getting what you want, I think. Which one? Well, I usually say Dr. Christopher Milton, I think. Or should I do James Blackwood? I think you do get a tiny bit more information depending on who you pick, but I can't remember which one. If you pretend to be... Because you're going to pretend to be each person. If you pretend to be Christopher Milton... Or if you pretend to be James Blackwood. One of them... Oh, you know what? Shoot, I should have saved it. You know what? Let's do both. I will click one, and then I'll come back and I'll have another conversation, and I'll pick the other option.
Do you have a customer there registered as Christopher Edward Milton? He's a doctor.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't give you that kind of information.
It's all right. I work in the hospital with him. My name is Dr. Mike Rutherford.
Which hospital would that be, sir?
Rothbury Health and Care Medical Center.
Please hold on a few
He
moments.
completely made that up.
I'm sorry, sir. I see we had someone called that a few years ago, but everything in the files has been removed. It'd seem he's no longer a customer of this bank.
Oh, I see. The good old Christopher is still playing pranks on me. That old joker.
Sir, you said your name was...
I won't waste your time anymore. Good day.
Yeah, no, I think the other one is better, but I'm going to come back and we'll listen to the other conversation. I decided that it was a good time to make use of that wood. He didn't say that before.
Good day, the National Bank of Northumberland. Robert Blake speaking.
Hello, Robert. I need some help.
Alright, and so now we're going to pretend to be James Blackwood, or we're going to pretend to be Christopher Milton. And
It's about
ask
James
about
Thomas
Blackwood.
Blackwood.
Yeah.
Do you have a customer called that?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't give you that kind of information.
Oh, or you can pretend to be the police chief. Oh, this is more dynamic. I guess I'll have to do this conversation again to show you the other one.
My name is Christopher Milton, a renowned doctor and good friend of the Blackwood family, and I demand some respect.
All right, sir. Please, just hold on for a few moments. Ah, yes. I have a customer listed as James Blackwood here.
Oh. Oh, this is way more interesting, isn't it? Wow, there's a lot of different conversations we can do.
Excellent. Now, I need to know about any banking activity that took place in 1961 concerning the construction of a floor level in the Blackwood residence.
That's right, sir. Our bank lent credit to Mr. Blackwood to enlarge his house. May I ask, what is all this about?
Yes, I'd need to know the amount lent.
I'm very sorry, sir, but I'm afraid I can't tell you that. You said your name was...
I won't waste your time anymore. Good day.
Okay. The other option would have been more productive. I'll show you all the other conversation options. Okay, so we're going to ask about
It's
James
about
Blackwood.
James Thomas Blackwood. Do you have a customer called that?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't give you that kind of information.
Okay, and we pretend to be
My
Dr.
name
Milton.
is Christopher Milton, a renowned doctor and good friend of the Blackwood family, and I demand some respect.
All right, sir. Please, just hold on for a few moments. Ah, yes. I have a customer listed as James Blackwood here.
Okay, so we're going to ask about recent activities.
Good. I need to know about any recent banking activity in this account.
What kind of banking activity, sir?
Anything.
You tell me. Any withdrawals, payments?
Look, sir, I'm really sorry, but I can only give that information to Mr. Blackwood himself.
So that means the account is still active?
Well, yeah. It means I can't give you this information, sir. You said your name was...
I won't waste your time anymore. Good day.
Yes, that is the phone call. That is the correct phone call. I'm not sure if it matters what you choose. I think the game progresses no matter what you choose, but I think that is the correct phone call you're supposed to have. I'm gonna see if I can just call him right back and try again. I've been replaying the save. Maybe I don't have to do that.
Oh, you again. If you persist, I shall have to...
How do you know it's me? You don't have caller
All
ID.
right, relax.
Okay, I guess we can't do that. Alright, so I'm gonna go back and pretend to be William Bailey and see how that conversation goes. Okay,
It's about James
Blackwood.
Thomas Blackwood. Do you have a customer called that?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't give you that kind of information.
And then we're gonna pretend to be
My name is William Bailey.
William Bailey.
Police chief of Rothbury, and I need to update some information regarding an official case.
Sir, I'm sure you know the procedure. I need the case file number.
Yes, of course, I know that. Grab your pen. 27-940619.
That's not even the right format, sir. You said your name was...
I won't waste your time anymore. Good day.
And that's how that one goes. So clearly the other option is the correct option because you get more information and the conversation goes a little deeper. But I'm not so sure that it matters entirely. I think you just pick whatever and the game will finish all the same. Although, I wonder if the journal is different. Let me look at the journal here. Yeah, no, there's nothing new. There's no update. Okay. I also want to try and read it before we finish the game, just in case there's any updates. But I might forget. So, hopefully I don't. Okay. So... that's done. So now we have a key that we got yesterday. So let's go to the greenhouse. I think that's where you use the key. I could be wrong, but we're going to try. And now we can go outside. And it's less red out. The weather is red today. I mean, not today, but you know, it's just a funny thing to say. What is the weather out? What is the weather outside? Red. Sorry, my camera is being finicky. It's really annoying. It was hopeless. The rust. Oh, maybe the key didn't fit there. Dang it! Where does the key go then? I don't know. I poured some oil on the hinges of the door and hoped that it would reduce the rust. We'll go in here anyway, because we can. A thick mist struck me in the eyes as I entered the barren greenhouse, and the smell of long-dried plants and dirt permeated the air. This music is very sleepy to me. Every time I watch YouTubers play this part, I start to get sleepy. It's very... I don't know. Calming. Several pots were scattered here and there. A few had pathetic plants in them. Okay, and you can see that there's a shiny thing here. An imposing but dead tree adorned the center of the greenhouse. There was some kind of shiny object beneath the grating. Whatever it was, there was no way I could reach it. If only we had some taffy, you know? In like Nancy Drew, you would just have a taffy on a stick and just stick it down there and grab the key. A huge pot contained a bush that had fallen on the drain. Okay. Alright, now let's go upstairs. The upper walkway was livelier than below due to several plants that had somehow managed to subsist on it. The branches of the huge tree made walking in the upper walkway very difficult. Okay. And we've got a shovel here. There was a shovel in the planter, but it was stuck in the soil. A large hose was lying on the walkway. Okay. Several pots... Oh, same thing. Okay. And we got a plant here. The plant on top of the table was strangely attractive. One bag was ripped, spreading dirt all over the table. And it was just an old fumigator. And we've got a drawer. And we have more reading. February 7th. As much as I regret it, I've decided to stop caring for the greenhouse. All my efforts to save the plants have been in vain. I just can't seem to figure out what is wrong with them. It has been a few weeks since they began falling apart to pieces, dying without any apparent cause. Some of them would just crumble at the slightest touch. This is not only frustrating, but very unsettling. Every time I enter the place, I can feel a sense of dread and decay. What I most regret is the condition of that rare plant I brought from South Africa. It's now all sad-looking and almost dried up, almost like it doesn't belong in England, which is a very different climate than Africa. I will take it upstairs and look after it, hoping it will get more sunlight, assuming that everything that has been happening here has a natural explanation. Death is surrounding this place, and I can't seem to do anything about it. In spite of my concerns, I can't help thinking that all of this began when I brought that... I wonder... No, I have to put those thoughts aside. I should stop reading all those sinister books that are getting under my skin. So he thinks it's possible that all his plants are dying because of a curse upon him and his house because of that mask that he brought over from Africa. Can I grab these? I want the shears, right? Don't I? Maybe I don't want the shears. Or maybe there's something in here I want? These are what I want. Can I grab a bit of this plant yet? Or do I have to know that I need it? I took a few leaves with me. Perfect. I don't have to know that I need it. I don't think there's anything else up here. So we have a bit of a puzzle here in the greenhouse. It's probably the best puzzle in the game, in my opinion. We need this shovel. So we need water to come through this hose so we can loosen up the water and then make the soil nice and soft and loose so we can pull the shovel out. I watch another YouTuber, Vote for Holt, which I've linked him in the description, and I'll link him in the description. He hates that puzzle. He doesn't understand why the soil needs to be loose to get the shovel out. And I'm just like, I guess you've never had an honest, hard day's work in your life. to not know that soil, when it's dry and hard, and if the shovel is deep enough, it would be impossible to pull it out of the soil. But he thinks you can't just pull it out of the soil. No, you can't. It needs to be soft and wet. Clearly he's never worked with soil before, is what I'm trying to say. But I jest. I make fun. I haven't really worked much with soil either, but my mom's a gardener. My family my extended family gardens. I have family members who work farms. I have done minimal work with soil before, and I do know that soil is difficult. If it's hard and dry and hard pack, you know, it's very possible to get a shovel stuck, and I went the wrong way. Yeah, sometimes you can get stuck. It's like, oh, that looks like the way out because it's a nice clearing, you know, but no, it's actually where? Wait, what? Am I wrong? How do I get out of here? That you think, oh, that's the way out. It's not. It's the dark path that doesn't look like a path at all. Anyway. Unless what's his name? I apologize. I'm trying to focus here. We need water. Let's go to the basement. What is his name? Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. What is his name? I know his name. The YouTuber, Vote for Holt. I know his name. He says his name. He says it at the very beginning with his brother in a lot of his videos. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on his name. I apologize. I keep wanting to say Jeremy. I know it's not Jeremy. I know it begins with a J. We need water. That's what we're doing. Getting water. Tries I might couldn't move the valve with my bare hands, and there's a drain cover in the concrete. Okay. Oh! Oh, I know where the key goes! Yay! I know where the key goes. I figured it out. It's to the lock to the garage because I need to get the crowbar, and the crowbar's in the garage. What is his name? What is his name? It's killing me. Jameson. That's his name. Sorry, Jameson, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, because why would you? But in case you are, I apologize. That's your name, Jameson. I jest. Jameson is a lovely person, and unless Jameson is just really strong, maybe he's really buff. I don't know. I think he does work out, or at least he has. He's mentioned weightlifting in his videos before. Maybe he's just really buff, and maybe he can pull a shovel out of hard-packed soil. I don't know. Alright. The key goes here. Totally forgot about this. So now we can go... A strong smell of aged oil was inflicting the barn-like garage. A garage? Well, la-dee-da, Mr. Frenchman. There was an old and dusty bicycle in the garage. It seemed to have some sort of device attached to it. What do you call it? A car hole. Okay, so you can pedal the pedals. And that is because there's a fancy device attached to the bike. The odd device was attached to the rear wheel. I believe it's a dynamo. An invention of Nikola Tesla, I believe. And we're going to use that bike to charge up our car battery so we can get out of here. I don't know what I just grabbed. I'm grabbing things. What? I grabbed, looks like a screwdriver and pliers. Of all the various items lying on the table, only the toolbox on the far left seem to have a few useful things. Okay. And crowbar. Beautiful. One classy and old automobile. Still, I didn't want to get very close as it gave me the strange feeling that something was about to jump at me from inside. Okay. That would have been cool, though. If that was the case. I'm trying to think when I should charge up the battery. You know what? I'll charge up the battery right now, but I won't try to leave yet. Let's go ahead and charge up the battery if I can. It was the... Yeah, I know. I wondered if I should do something about the car myself, but I decided to give Jerry a chance. Oh. He still believes in Jerry. I forgot. he hasn't realized yet. We'll see. Okay, so he doesn't want to charge up his car just yet. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that later then. Come on, pointer finger. Alright, so now we'll go back to the basement and turn the water on. Okay. So I believe we need this. Do I use it on there? That wasn't useful. No, I think we use it on here then. Yep. No. That can be tricky. So you need to put the crowbar there and then click on the wheel, not the crowbar. I retrieve the crowbar as it could be needed elsewhere. I can't think of where else I'm going to need it. I want to turn the crowbar. I think you need to move. I think the hitbox is a little strange for this, and I can't remember exactly where you're supposed to... I need to use it... Oh, I just remembered. Sorry. I need to turn the wheel with it. So we're going to put it in there, and I think we use the hammer on it. I think that's what's going on. There we go. There we go. Okay. I retrieved the crowbar as it could be needed elsewhere. Okay. And now the water is working. Now we can turn the water on in the house. Or it is on now in the house. And I'll show you, because now I believe we can use the faucet in the sink. The water was running, but there seemed to be a problem with the pipes. Oh! Do I still need to do something else? Because let me make sure. There might still be something I need to do with the pipes. Okay, there's no more need to fiddle with the valve. Okay. Well, maybe it's working for our purposes. Maybe Augustin just didn't want to put water animation in the sink. I don't think there's any water animation in this game, so I think he just didn't want to do the water animation, so he's like, the pipes are still broken! So maybe you can't actually turn on the water. I thought you could, but now that I think about it, I don't think you can. Let's just go to the greenhouse. Hopefully there's nothing more I need to do, because I can't think of how else I can fix the pipes. Oh, I need to turn it on, right? Alright, so the water is working. Good. Okay, so first we're going to work with the hose. Let's just say rope. It's not rope. Can we grab it? Yep. Okay. And can we... Okay, so it's hanging over the railing, so now we need to attach it here. Turn it on. And then we're gonna put this in there, and hopefully we can get it now. Yeah. Okay. So that's one part of the puzzle. Now we got a shovel. And now I'm going to pull this out. And we're going to let this run in the grate. But we still have some issues. We're trying to get this shiny thing. But it's not going to work because it's being blocked by these brambles here. So we're going to cut these. I removed a few branches and leaves, clearing that corner of the drain. Really good puzzle. I like all the different parts. It's very logical. And now it does take it a second, and you just heard the shiny thing just moved. Shiny object has been washed out of sight. Good. I'm going to turn off the water to save water. You don't really have to, I don't think so, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to turn off the water. Boop. That wasn't really animated. He could have put that in the sink if he wanted to. Oh well. Doesn't matter. Remember on day one when we saw that clearing with the tree and the puddle? That is where we need to go now. Because that's where the water drains out. And now we have our shiny thing here. And it is a key. And that key, I think that key goes to the drawer, if I'm not mistaken. I think that key goes to the drawer in the study, if I'm not mistaken. We also need to go to the crypt at some point. Oh, the study is actually faster to go this way. I could be wrong, but I think that's where this goes. Yes, we have a box. Let me read this first. March 21st, 1963. Dear Catherine, first of all, I beg you to take the utmost care in order to keep this letter away from James. I don't like to think of the mental breakdown he would suffer if he reads this. You know James much better than I do, so you must share my conviction that he'd never harm anything, but even so, I'd ask you to be careful whenever he's around, at least until we sort out this situation. He has been especially unstable lately, speaking about his determination to suppress the so-called curse. I truly fear for him and for his sanity. I still wouldn't say he qualifies as dangerous, but just in case, be cautious. I've been playing the role of an ally who believes in James, and so far I think I've done a good job in convincing him. But I'm afraid it won't last for too much longer. I can't do all the things he's now asking me to do. He has been delving into some very obscure arts, and what began as a hobby has now become a dangerous obsession. He wants me to perform an African ritual on that awful mask he brought. He's convinced he has released an ancient spirit which will harm everything he loves and care for. It's all so utterly insane that I'm ashamed to translate this into words. My biggest fear is that I will end losing my own mind along with his. I have to put an end to all of this. And about that other issue, you should know I've gotten over it. Catherine, what we all did 2 years ago, the decision we made and knew would affect the course of our lives, has been haunting my sleep ever since then. I know you must be the one more affected by this, but you wouldn't understand all that has been going through my head. The confusion, the contradiction. Now more than ever, I'm not sure whether it was the right decision or not. But there's no turning back, and we must face the consequences. All I wanted to say about this is that I'm deeply sorry if I behaved erratically these past days and unnerved you. You have my word I won't ever reveal anything. Whatever you do with this letter, make sure James doesn't feel anything suspicious. I'd rather have you destroy this, though. Extreme situations require extreme measures. Christopher. So first of all, we know that James did read this, because it's in James's study in a locked drawer. And that key ended up in the greenhouse in the grate, probably because James was in there trying to take care of his plants and he dropped it at some point. So we know James read this. There is some speculation as to whether or not Catherine and Christopher Milton had an affair. I don't think there's any reason to believe that. I don't believe that, but I can see why people would think that way. So apparently, James believes that there's a curse upon his household because of the mask that he brought over from Africa. He's trying to get Christopher Milton, the doctor, to help him perform this ritual to get rid of the curse, but the doctor doesn't really believe it. Although we've read, since Christopher took ownership of the house, he's written in his journal that he's starting to believe that something weird is happening because he's hearing voices coming from the gallery, and he boarded up the door that's hiding the mask. So he's starting to change his mind and starting to think whether or not James was actually right about everything that's happening. But there's another issue that we don't quite know is happening. Because he talks about the other issue, something involving Catherine, something they all did 2 years ago that he won't reveal anything about, something possibly immoral, something that is something they possibly regret but can't, go back on, and it's super secret, something they don't talk about, they won't really mention. That's another kind of mystery as to what happened 2 years ago. What is going on with that? And does that have anything to do with the curse? And we have a box. Now, the box has a code, but we don't know what the code is. I know what the code is, but we're not really supposed to know what the code is yet. In order to find the code for that, we have to go to the crypt. So that's what we're gonna do. Has that always been not animated or not rendered or whatever? So it's all dark here. There's like nothing there. I don't remember seeing that the first time. Anyway. Let's go to the crypt. Okay. And so we have that. I would need some tools to get into the crypt. We have some wire there. So we're going to cut it with some pliers there, or remove it. We don't necessarily have to cut it. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I entered the decaying crypt. The foul smell of rotting flesh seemed to have persisted throughout the years. Now, this is the trickiest puzzle, I think. The trickiest part of the whole game. I admit it's probably not the best, but I still enjoy it. I still really like this bit. There's a lot of people that think this is terrible. I can understand why they think that. But we've got a beautiful crypt. Beautiful as in ancient and creepy, kind of beautiful. The large windows in the dome above allowed some faint light into the crypt. That's going to be important. You have these prayer stalls here. If you don't know what that is, very old. I don't think churches use these anymore. But these are special benches that you can use for prayer. You're supposed to kneel on here, and you're supposed to place your elbows here so you can have your hands folded and bowed. It's supposed to be for prayer. It doesn't look very comfortable at all. I think they could have done better with that, but I don't think churches use those anymore. But in case you didn't know what those were. I couldn't imagine what the purpose of the grating in the floor was. Obviously, nobody down there was in need of fresh air. Yeah. So we've got some coffins here. We've got, let's see, let's take a look down here. We've got James T. Blackwood, 1908 to 1963. According to the plaque, both Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood had died in the same year. And Catherine Blackwood, 1910 to 1963. And we've got a rock here. I don't know if I can grab... I can. Okay. So, this has caused people the most grief, I think. Is trying to pick up this rock because the hitbox is weird. Like, that's obviously the back button. In order to pick up the stone, you need to go down here to pick it up. And we'll use it in a moment. But first, let's just open up these coffins and see what's inside. I seriously considered what I was about to do, but my curiosity got the better of me. Ooh, spooky. Who is this? A corpse in advanced stages of decomposition was inside the coffin. It was disgusting. Okay, so obviously, one of the Blackwoods, possibly, most likely. And the only thing scarier than an occupied coffin is an unoccupied coffin. Curious enough, this coffin was completely empty. And there's some discussion about whether or not, like, there's supposed to be a proper order as to who is placed in what coffin. I think the man is supposed to be up top and the woman down bottom. But I might be wrong about that. It might actually supposed to be the other way. But Michael's going to deduce something based on what he's seen here, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But he's made a conclusion based on what he's seen in these coffins. Several candle holders were attached to the walls, but alas, there was no candles in the vicinity. Okay, well, let's go forward here and head down the stairs. Okay, and we've got some coffins here. Wow. The gamma on this. So we have a coffin here. The prospect of witnessing the decaying body of a baby wasn't very tempting. So we have a tiny coffin here. It's clearly for a child. One of the coffins was considerably smaller than the rest. Now, you're supposed to not be able to see this plaque. Even though it was in better shape than the rest, it was too dark to make out what the plaque read. I think when this game came out on older computers, it was harder to see the plaque, but because this is running on a better computer, we can see it perfectly fine. At least I can. So like, if you're playing this game on a newer computer, you might not know that you need more light down here to read it, even though it's perfectly legible, and also not legible because you can only see the letter R. But we're going to pretend like we can't see it. We need more light down here, and that's the next puzzle that we got to do, is to find a way to get light down here. Most of the plaques were too badly eroded to make out what they said. There were several coffins in this room, probably belonging to the most important ancestors of the family. Seeing one dead body inside the crypt had been enough for me. This coffin was half opened, and I was horrified to glimpse the remain of a dead cat in it. Strange. I think that's a inside joke to something, but I'm not sure what. Okay. So that's everything we can see down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can't get some light down below. We're going to take that rock that we grabbed, and we're going to throw it at the window. I hurled the stone at the window, but sadly it missed and bounced off the ceiling, flying out of sight. A lot of people are annoyed by that. They think, oh, so I have to find the next part of the puzzle is to find the rock again. And it's not going to be in the same place it was. So we're going to... I already know where it is. It's not really that hard to find. But I actually don't mind that you missed the first time. That's very realistic. And it's not hard to find. It's just right there. Out in the open. It's not like it's super complicated. And you just try again. And this time, you will be successful. Again, I hurled the stone at the window with all my strength. And this time, my aim was true. The glass collapsed, throwing shards in every direction. Thankfully, none of them hit me. So we've got some light here. But we need to be able to manipulate the light to go down here. So we need something that can reflect light, aka a mirror. After leaving the crypt, I stopped to think for a few seconds. I only found one body inside, but there were two plaques. Something was evidently out of place here. See, he's starting to put things together, or at least he thinks he is. All right. So we're going to go to the master bedroom. And remember that mirror that we can kind of manipulate with in the master bedroom? We're going to grab that mirror with the screwdriver. Okay. So we're going to take the screwdriver. We're going to unscrew this mirror. And we're going to grab it. Perfect. Now, what I want to do next is... let me try clicking on the keyboard. I want to try clicking, not the keyboard, the typewriter. I want to see if he has anything new to say about it. As much as I wanted to, I couldn't even approach the typewriter. Okay, I just want to see if he'd say something new about it. Also, the journal probably has something new as well. I have managed to get inside the greenhouse, another one of Blackwood's hobbies. This place is really sad and the atmosphere is dense. My efforts have been fruitful and I have managed to retrieve a key that was lost in the greenhouse, although it seems to me like someone lost it on purpose. I wonder what it will open. A drawer in the study provided me with further revelations of the Blackwoods drama and a very tempting box, except I need to know a code to open it. I have made my way into the crypt. The place is suffocating and the rotting smell unbearable. I didn't find much inside the crypt except that a body was missing. It's likely that both James and Catherine were buried together. In spite of the murder, and I know that Catherine is dead for sure, but James? The plot is thickening. I can't even look at the typewriter. My stomach aches every time I'm inside the room, and I feel sick as I get closer to it. That's weird. I will say that there is an alternate ending to this game. I'm not going to show it to you because I don't know. I don't think it's worth showing to you. There are other YouTubers who have done it. I think Vote for Holt has done it. I don't know. But you can easily find it online if you want to see it. But it has to do with the typewriter. There's many people who believe that the alternate ending to this game is the true ending, and the ending that we get from playing the game normally is an ending that Michael made up because it's more scary and it kind of helps him with his novel. Like, it's as if the whole game is Michael's novel that he's trying to finish. And so the ending is more exciting in the game because he wanted his ending to be more exciting in the book, but it's not actually what happened. The alternate ending is actually what happened. I don't actually see it that way, and I don't think Agustin Cordes sees it that way either. Although there's very interesting commentary about the alternate ending with the typewriter. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know if I should spoil what the alternate ending. I won't, because it'll end up spoiling the actual ending. I believe that the ending that you get from just playing the game normally is the actual ending, and I think Agustin Cordes might have said that at one point too. But that is a clue to the alternate ending and what the meaning behind the alternate ending is. I will say that the alternate ending kind of speaks to forcing yourself to write when you're uninspired and how that could potentially be damaging to your story. And so the alternate ending is a less satisfying ending to the story than the actual ending, or the ending you get when you play the game normally. But you get the alternate ending by constantly coming back to the typewriter. I think you have to come back to the typewriter throughout the game like 12 different times, and that gets you the alternate ending. We're obviously not doing that. But I just want to see if he had anything more to say about the typewriter and about his story that he's working on. I also want to look at the clock and show you the mechanics of the clock, if I didn't talk about that before. The time is 11 a.m. Now, as you progress throughout the day, the time changes. And so if you're stuck and you don't know at what point in the day you are, how much you've progressed, like how much there is left to do in the day, you can click on the clock. So 11 a.m., that means we still have a lot to do. But if it's like 4 p.m., 3 p.m., you've done most of it, but you still have a little bit more. And about 6 p.m., you're done for the day and you need to go to bed, essentially, is how that works with this game. So the clock can kind of tell you how far in the game you are on that particular day. In case I didn't mention that earlier. Okay, so we're going to go back to the crypt and we're going to use the mirror. Okay, so we're going to stick the mirror here. And I think we need to combine these two. So we took the wire from the door when we opened the crypt. We're going to combine those and we're going to put it there. Okay, and then we should have enough light now to see what's down here. Come on. Okay. The inscription was too eroded, but I could make out the letter R on the far left, which we could already see. So we're trying to figure out the name of the child that they lost. And so we know his name begins with the letter R. Now, if you'll remember, last video I talked about the blocks in the nursery, in the hidden baby room. Those blocks actually form his name. You know what? I'll go back and show you. Because you can get back into that room. Is that the... Yeah. Oh! We're missing some, textures here. That's okay. It's not gonna stop us. Okay, back in this room. And the blocks. So we have some letters here that look like they might form a name, I guess is what you're supposed to put together. This puzzle is a little far-fetched, I will say. But what you're supposed to get is you're supposed to be like Aubin. And then you have the letter R. Robin. Maybe the kid's name was Robin. And so now that we know his name and the letters the numbers associated with those letters, you saw the numbers on those letters. So now we know what the code is, at least most of the code. There isn't a block with the letter R, so we don't know what the R is supposed to be, but based on trial and error, you can figure it out. So we're going to go back down to the study, and we're going to put in the code in the box in the study. Okay. Okay. There's no animation for the buttons because I think it was a bit complicated for them to do, but that's okay. We love us a good indie game that has to get creative about things. So we don't know what R is, and you could tell what the code is at the bottom. Let's say that R is 1, and we'll try, or 0, and we're gonna go 6. I wrote down what the numbers on the letter blocks were already. 6, I believe it was a 6. It was a little confusing on the orientation of the number, because if the block was right side up, the letter is supposed to be in the lower right hand corner, but then both I and O were both 9 or 6 or whatever it was, so it was a little confusing for me, but we'll figure it out as we go. So 9. Oh, hold on. 0, 6, 9, 7. Wait. 1. There's 5. 5 letters. Huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Huh? Wait. 0. Oh! I forgot the 0. I forgot the B. 0. 0, 9, 7. So it's probably not 0, although I guess 2 letters can share the same number, but probably not. Okay, so not 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'm wrong. I messed up the 6 and the 9, I think. Let's do 9 and 6. Maybe I like I said, the orientation was weird, and so I couldn't quite figure out which one it was. Let's try that. Okay, let's try 9 and 9. And then if that doesn't work, we'll try 6 and 6. Unless that's... Yeah, no. We'll try 6 and 6. There we go. It's 9 and 9. They're both 9 and 9. Okay. And now it's open. But now we have another puzzle. It's a puzzle box, which means you have to... there's a certain combination of moves, let's say, that you need to do. If you play Nancy Drew, you're kind of familiar with puzzles like that. Sort of. If you play puzzle games, I should say, because Nancy Drew only has one puzzle box. But if you're familiar with puzzle games, puzzle boxes are pretty common. So there's a certain order you got to do this in. And I honestly can't remember what the order is, but we'll try turning that, clicking there. It's not the most intuitive. Clicking there. So we can click here, 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 and we can also turn this. I'm not entirely sure what the order is. I believe we turn it there. Click here, here, click there. Huh. This may take me a minute. Let's try this. There. There. Center here? No. Let's try here. Oh! Got it! Alright. Couldn't tell you what the combination was. I was just doing a bunch of random stuff, but there you go. Okay. And now we have a key, a very churchy looking key. That is obviously the key for the chapel. The chapel is my favorite part of day 3, I believe. It is chilling and interesting and lovely all at the same time. Classic, that sound for the door opening, it's a classic royalty-free game sound. You hear it in the old Nancy Drew games all the time. Okay, the chapel is this way. Alright. Let's go. The lock produced a loud noise that echoed in the quietness of the area and made me wonder about the secrets that has been kept safe and undisturbed in here for years. Let's go. Not even inside the chapel did I perceive a peaceful environment. The deadly stillness was deeply unnerving. Oh, it's so good, the chills. Ah, but I'm finally where I belong, in a church. There's no place quite like church. Okay, so, I think I talked about it in the first video, but lots of big old mansions in England and other places around the world will have their own chapel on the property, because back then mansions were like parishes, were like their mansions used to be ruled by lords, and they had back in the days of serfdom, they had a whole bunch of servants, and they all lived in a little village around this lord's house. And so, because it was basically its own village, or its own parish, they would say, I believe that's what a parish is, they would have their own little chapel, and their own chaplain, and whatever. Because it was basically, all the servants, there's so many servants, it was basically a tiny village. And so, they had their own church. Here's Christ, captured, looks like he's, it looks like he's captured by Rome. It looks like he might be going before Pontius Pilate. This is him, about to carry his cross, I assume. So they got a lot of, religious artwork. Can I see this? Oh. Or there might be an order to these. Let's see. Yeah, and here's Jesus carrying his cross. They make it look so pristine. That's the thing about old Christian artwork, is it's not realistic. I think they cut out all the blood and the gore and all the dirt because they don't want, because they want these paintings to be reverent of Jesus. But Jesus wasn't clothed. He was almost naked, if not entirely naked. He was beaten, bloody, beyond recognition, crown of thorns on his head, probably weeping, miserable. He didn't look anything like this in real life. In real life, he looks like he's having a good time in these paintings. That is not the case in the actual biblical account. They're trying to be reverent, they're trying to clean it up, they're trying to pretty it up, which I don't blame them for. I still have respect for, the old church and the way they did things, but this isn't an accurate depiction of the crucifixion. Jesus was not having a good time, He was, the Bible, the way it's described in the Bible, he got so many whippings, so many lashes that he was unrecognizable. That doesn't look like a man that's been whipped, a lot. So, but he did carry his own cross, and that's his mother. It's Mary. It's his mother because she's got a halo around her, because she's considered, it's probably controversial to say, considered a deity in the Catholic faith. I wouldn't say deity, but they definitely sometimes deify her, controversially. I don't want to get too controversial about it, just because, I know there's Catholics that'll be like, no, we don't do that. I hope you don't, because that is against the Bible to do that. But I do feel like sometimes they give her a little more credit, a little more honor than she's actually due. Not that she shouldn't be honored. She's still the mother of God, so she still has honor and high honor, above maybe the rest of us. But anyway. Anyway, and then Jesus was so exhausted, so weak that he couldn't carry the cross. Like, I think he carried it partway, and he couldn't carry it. He was so weak, so they had to get somebody else to carry it for him. He looks mildly tired, maybe even a little bored in that picture, which is, again, not an accurate representation. This, I don't know where they're getting this account from. I've heard her name is Veronica, I think she's supposed to be the woman that he healed of bleeding. She had an issue of bleeding for, I forget how many years. What was it? Was it 8, 12? Long time. I think she's the one I think she's the one that he healed. I don't know what the whole fabric with, I presume, is his face on it. There's memes about this picture, like Jesus had merch back then. I don't know what this story is. This must be the Catholic tradition, because I don't think this is in the Bible particularly. I don't know what that is. At this point, I wasn't going to bother with light switches anymore. Fair. I apologize if this is too religiously historical for you. I love religious history, so like this is all fascinating to me. And these are all the different the accoutrements inside the chapel, though mostly golden and shiny, looked sad and fragile. Yeah, a lot of special instruments were used in the Catholic tradition, still are. Protestants, we don't get this fancy. But the chalice was lavish and pleasing to the eye, but was sadly of no use to me. Oh, and by the way, this is probably not a Catholic chapel. I should say that. The primary religion in England at the time, and probably still today, is the Church of England, or Anglican, the Anglican Church. It's not Catholic. But it is. They would disagree. But it's Catholic in all but name. It's just not Catholic. The only difference is you can get divorced. That is probably the only significant difference between the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church. But it's Catholic in every other way, practically. You can just get divorced in that church. It was started by Henry... I forget which Henry. The Henry that wanted to be divorced because he wanted to keep marrying women who will produce an heir for him. So he wanted to marry, as often as he wanted. And the Catholic Church wouldn't let him, so they, so they was like, fine, I'll make my own church. And so he made the Anglican Church. I'm probably really simplifying it, but that's basically, in my understanding, is what the Anglican Church is. Not that the Anglican Church doesn't accurately follow God and doesn't have any reverence for him. They're still wonderful Anglicans, God-fearing, legitimate Christian Anglicans. Not saying that it's an illegitimate religion at all. I'm just saying it's basically Catholic. They don't want to, I don't think they want to admit that they're Catholic, but they pretty much are. That's why the Puritans left England, because they didn't want to be part of the Anglican Church, because they were against the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church had all kinds of issues, going back to Martin Luther and the theses that he put on the door. The church was supposed to go away from Catholicism, but the Anglican Church still was very much Catholic. I was like Catholic. And so the Puritans wanted to move away from the Catholic Church, and they were being persecuted for that. Because the Anglican Church, that was the main criticism that the Puritans had of the Catholics, of the Anglicans, was they're too Catholic. And so they were being persecuted for that belief, and so they left England and came to America to make their own church. And that's kind of more of what we get in Protestant religions today, although it's still very different from what the Puritans were. Anyway, that's not what this video is supposed to be about. Anyway, here's Jesus. There's a large wooden statue of Christ looking after this holy place. It's really creepy looking. There's Jesus. Like, if there's any place I want to be on this property, it's right here. This is where I would feel the safest, but we've got Jesus here. And we also have the floor. We also have something going on down here, which is interesting. It was some kind of small metal ring, so we have some sort of hidden something or other here in the floor, which will become interesting. We've got Jesus carrying his cross, and people being upset about it. Got him, falling over because he can't carry the cross. He's too weak. And then so we have him being stripped of his clothes. before being put on the cross, and his clothes were cast for lots among the people. Yeah, and he's being nailed to the cross, and then he's up on the cross, and that's his mother, Mary, upset, obviously, of her son being crucified. Can we get to... I want to get to this one. And that's the followers of Christ taking him down from the cross to bury him. And then here they have him preparing him for burial, preparing to put him, in his tomb. Let's go upstairs. And we have a drawer with the Holy Bible. Ah, yes, the Holy Scriptures. Let's read some scripture. I can't read any of that. Epistle, beloved. Oh, we've got a hidden nail in the Bible. Whoa, crazy. Okay, we're going to use this nail, and we're going to put it in Jesus. I've heard that there was some criticism about this game, about using Jesus in a puzzle and putting a nail in him. That's stupid. I think that's stupid. That Christians would be like, how dare you put a nail in Jesus' feet? How dare you nail him to the cross in this puzzle? And I'm like, get off it. As if your own sins aren't the thing that nailed him to the cross. Those are the kind of people that don't believe they actually need Jesus. Please. Anyway, we're going to put a nail in Jesus' feet because it's obviously empty. Because you can see the nails here. And so now we put in the third nail. But we're still missing a part of the puzzle. And this can be a little tricky, but if you'll notice that the sign up here is crooked and you need to make it right. Something was curiously different about the INRI sign now. INRI, I forget exactly what it means. I mean, I know what it means. I forget, I think it's Greek or Roman or Latin or whatever it is, but it's supposed to mean King of the Jews. As in the Bible, they wanted to mock Jesus by putting a sign that said King of the Jews, because that's what he claimed to be. And that's sort of the crime that he has committed and is being crucified for. And then the Jews got upset because they're just like, no, he's not the King of the Jews. He only claimed to be the King of the Jews. And the dude who put it up was like, it says what it says. And it's so perfectly ironic because he is King of the Jews. And so it's like, it's supposed to mock him, but it doesn't mock him at all. It's literally his title, which is great. Okay, if you believe such things. Again, I am a Christian, so I do believe that. I know there's many people who don't believe he's King of the Jews. That's perfectly fine. You can believe what you want in my channel, but that is what I believe personally. Okay, we're going to take the crowbar and we're going to fix it. You ready? Wait. Huh? What do you mean? What? Am I missing something? It's supposed to be fixed. Am I supposed to back away from it and, not be standing on it? I don't know how else to access it. Am I supposed to just not be standing on it? What the... How... Is there something I'm missing? Something I'm supposed to do first? Oh, actually, I think there is something I'm supposed to do first. I'm supposed to open this first with the crowbar, right? There we go. Now we can do it. All right, you ready to find what's down? What's hidden here? Yes, we found a hidden passageway that we're gonna go down, maybe somehow. How do we go down? I want to go down, please. There we go. You ready? Time to use the only candle in the game. It was nearly impossible to discern anything in the secret room, but there seemed to be a candle. Let's do it. Oh. So this is James's hidden sanctuary, and I can assume that this mask is here to protect him as like a guardian, but it's interesting how where he feels the safest is in the basement of the church. Makes sense. He's trying to protect himself from the curse. And so he's going to talk more about this curse and about this ritual that he believes needs to happen in order to eradicate it, to eradicate the curse. Okay. April 5th, 1963. Christopher, these may very well be my last notes in this regard. I'm afraid Catherine has already realized what I've been doing here all the time. In vain, I've tried to explain myself, and I know what might have been the outcome had I kept insisting. If you could only believe me, Christopher, because I know you intend well, but I can feel the doubt in your heart. Put your rational thoughts aside for a moment and yield to the facts. If I can do it, someone who was constantly taught in the wonders of science ever since his childhood, then so can you. I'm hoping that you will contemplate the possibility of some truth in my assessments once you read about my latest findings. It is imperative that you carry on with this task. Catherine is watching my every step, and I'm afraid she'll take strong measures if I do anything out of the ordinary. Did you know she's been talking to other doctors besides you? And psychiatrists. My God, Christopher, I fear that she's willing to shut me up in a madhouse. How is it possible that all of you won't believe me, as if what happened with my own son wasn't enough proof? In my adjacent notes, you will find an exhaustive essay on the origin of the curse and what should be done to eliminate it. I know the whole amulet deal must sound crazy, but you have to trust me. The tribe has been doing this for centuries. Are you going to forfeit all that knowledge and experience? They faced a god, Christopher, and lived to tell it. Now it's our turn to live and tell the story. And Christopher, if we fail to remove the curse and anything happens to me, I want you to do it. And I have my complete mental faculties whilst I'm asking you this. It has been becoming more and more dangerous lately. He means the mask. Do not hesitate. There is simply no other way, and you would be the only one left who can do it. Promise me. Promise me you will. I know I'm asking you to become a cold-hearted murderer. But Christopher, our lives and possibly many others are at stake. Isn't that enough to forget your vow? James. So James wants Christopher to do this ritual to get rid of this curse, and it's going to require him to murder somebody to do it. And Christopher's a doctor, and so that's what Christopher was talking about in his journal entries, was he'd have to go against his code, as a doctor, first do no harm, in order to do what James wants him to do. And he was seriously contemplating it after James's death, because he's also experiencing what James was experiencing. All right, so let's read about his findings. What exactly did he figure out about this mask? March 26th. The folklore of the Dalmar is just as disturbing as their vicious attacks. If my researches have been correct, then I could have stumbled upon one of the most ancient tribes ever known to humanity, dating back to the era where the so-called Bushmen inhabited South Africa. We're talking over 20,000 years ago. How could any civilization manage to survive all this time without ever hunting or expanding? Just being there. I don't dare to imagine what 200 centuries of inbreeding and cannibalism can do to people. I've seen them, and they can't be called humans. What is most unsettling is their mystical background, impossible to be considered a religion due to their complete lack of basic rules and maturity. The only simple premise is to keep an evil entity at bay, which has been stalking them since the beginning of time, or Dark Ages. At this point in my research, I had to stop and consider the implications. The Dharma actually thought of their later period, the systematic slaughtering of mankind, as good times or golden ages. I thanked the Lord that this tribe never managed to grow, as I seriously think the region, and maybe even the entire continent, would have suffered terrible consequences. This history is so ancient that it makes me feel dizzy. The vengeful god, which is incidentally referred to as Dalam, which would control the Dalmar via its via its many incarnations. Most of the time it would be a tall feline-like figure, always dwelling in shadows and slaying any villager who would unwittingly come close. Some say its deadly claws would not only penetrate your body, but your soul. The purpose of the harassment is unclear. It would look as if the Dalmar were simply toys to play with. It seems then that the Dalmar managed to free themselves from its clutches with the help of an amulet or charm which would effectively force the entity to retreat. The most curious thing is how this amulet was conceived. Two main elements were required to perform the exorcising of this evil, and they had to be strictly related to each other, one representing the victim and the other representing the victimizer. To achieve this, something related to each one was used. While I'm not sure what is referred to as the victim, I think it can be concluded that anything belonging to any villager would have served, given that they were all victims. As for something representing the victimizer, that may have been more complicated. What could possibly be related to a god? This god in question. Next, these elements had to be mixed with a rare medicinal plant native to the region, which apparently had the properties to blend both items together, as long as they were not too solid. Finally, a branch of a particular tree, whose name escapes me now, had to be used as the holder of the blended items. It is on this item that a mysterious blessing was performed. It should be noted that all the elements had to be organic. The Dalmar successfully released themselves from the control of the vicious god with an intense ritual that seems to have taken days to perform. In the end, the amulet was so powerful that the entity surrendered to their will and offered divine power in exchange for sacrifices. But the Dalmar wouldn't allow to be fooled. They decided that getting rid of this evil once and for all would be the wisest thing to do. So they managed to capture its spirit and store it someplace where they could guard it for ages to come. My God, the evil spirit was cast into a mask, trapped inside the confines of its blessed wood for eternity. A mask which its description bears uncanny resemblance to... Who am I fooling? It is that mask. The Dalmar would keep the spirit at bay via regular rituals, involving the bloody sacrifices and the aforementioned amulet. The last book I read today about the Dalmar, in reality 2 small paragraphs as amusing bonus reading in a book lent by the museum, had revealed to me something that left me completely paralyzed with terror. I've always wondered since I began studying them what made the Dalmar savagely slaughter neighboring tribes without any apparent reason. Was it a violent, raw instinct? Did they feel threatened in any way? Or was it by a perverse and ungodly sense of enjoyment? No. It was fear. Fear that someone else would take the mask and release the god. They killed to protect themselves from falling again into the Dark Ages. If they went to such extreme lengths to avoid this, then what did they have to endure when the entity was free? The rituals haven't been performed on the mask for years now. What have I done? What have I done? So good. I can't even. Okay, so this mask. I was shocked to learn about this evil, terrible as it was. I still wondered to what extent James Blackwood went to get rid of the curse. So, this mask is so evil because it contains the spirit of a vengeful god that used to stalk the Dalmar, but is now stalking James, and to an extent Michael, because he stole the mask. And that explains why the Dalmar were killing people. So we have their vicious attacks. So what he witnessed, that attack of that man during the ritual, they were doing the regular ritual that they needed to do to keep the god confined. And so when they killed him, and when he offered himself, that's what that was all about. They weren't killing him because they wanted to kill him. They killed him because he was the victim, and that was part of the ritual. They needed to take the sacrifice, the piece of him, and put it in the amulet as part of the victim. They had to kill somebody to get a piece of the victim to put in the amulet. And so that's probably why James is asking Christopher to commit a murder. He needs to murder somebody who's become a victim of this god, take a piece of them and put them in the amulet. Who was he supposed to murder? Who was around and alive to be considered a victim of this god? We have James, we have Catherine, and we have Christopher himself. Who was he supposed to murder to take a piece of to put in this amulet? And so Michael's kind of putting it together that maybe Catherine was killed to be part of this ritual that James is trying to do. Maybe James murdered her to make this amulet. But we still need a part of the victimizer, a part of this feline god, to put as part of this amulet. And James was giving Christopher this task of doing the ritual if something happened to James, which something did. He did die. And so Christopher was supposed to carry out the mission in his place. So he was possibly asking Christopher to murder Catherine. The thing is, Catherine was already dead by that point. So I don't know who he expected him. James expected him to murder in order to do that. Okay, the mask. And that's why they were killing all these people. That's why this village was so savage. They wanted to keep anybody from coming near the mask, and letting the god free. Yeah. So we got to perform this ritual, and we need this branch to do it. So he mentioned 4 things that we needed. We need the branch to hold the the amulet, and it had to come from a specific tree. That's this branch, so we don't gotta worry about it. We need leaves from a certain African plant, which conveniently he had an African plant upstairs in the greenhouse, and so we have some leaves from that plant there. Then we need something from the victim and the victimizer. Those are 2 things that we don't have yet. Assuming that we even do the ritual, because technically we don't have to. Most of the books scattered in the hidden room were about occultism and African culture. Even their titles were disturbing. Okay, so he was trying to figure out as much as he could about this curse. Yeah, this isn't good. Let's talk to Jerry about the things that we have discovered. But that bit right there is my favorite part of the game, at least on day 3, I think, or maybe even of the whole game. Just figuring out the crux of the story. It's so good, so rich, figuring out this cursed mask and what has to be done about it. Very interesting. Alright, but I believe we're gonna call Jerry and figure out, what has to be, what we have discovered. Okay. That's it. Robin, the name of Blackwood's dead son. The cubes in his room didn't spell the word bin. Didn't spell the word bin, but part of this name, ... bin. And of course the letter R I saw in the crypt came in handy. Now, let's see what secrets are stored inside this box. The box contained yet another key, except that this one looks fairly important. Also, I'm wondering why exactly Blackwood used the name of his son as the code to the box. Guilt, perhaps? Why not? I know that my parents have used my name in several things. It's kind of a normal thing for parents to do. I'm finally inside the chapel, the place where Blackwood spent most of the time during his last days. I can feel it. I'm about to make great discoveries in here. The story is fully revealed to me now. That disturbing African mask is cursed. It isn't exactly important whether this curse is real or not, even though I'm actually willing to believe that due to my experiences inside this house. But the fact is that Blackwood believed it was very real. What drastic measures did he take to get rid of it and murder a sacrifice? Alright, so we're going to talk to Jerry about all that we've discovered. Where are we? How do we get back? Okay. And we'll check to see what time it is as well. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save this game because it can crash sometimes. So I'm going to save it because I don't want to do all that again. This is a long day, like I said. This is the longest day in the game. So this is probably a pretty long video. Let's check the clock first. It is 1 p.m. Getting there.
Yes?
Hi, Jerry.
Michael, I was worried about you. Are you doing okay?
Yes, I'm fine. And I think I know the identity of my intruder.
Tell me, who is it?
James Blackwood.
The Blackwood person? Michael, are you serious? That the ghost of the murderer is roaming the house?
I'm not talking about his ghost, Jerry. I'm talking about him.
What the heck do you mean?
I mean James Blackwood himself, alive in this house.
What? How is that possible?
It makes sense. After murdering his wife and realizing what he has done, he begs for help to Christopher Milton, who fakes his death.
Milton, the previous owner? Michael, you're losing your mind. Even if he managed to hide himself, how did he survive all this time? Milton has been missing for years.
Good point, but I'm sure a desperate man like Blackwood would have found a way.
Yes, by turning into a ghost. Wait a minute. Yeah, I have it right here. James Blackwood passed away on June 1963. Would you please stop this?
Jerry, just listen to me. I know I'm right. There's only Mrs. Blackwood's body in the crypt. His is missing.
Oh God, Michael. You've really gone out of your mind. Digging into coffins, what next? Desecrating the chapel?
Whatever it takes to solve this mystery. You can only find stories like this in books.
Precisely why I'm beginning to wonder about your sanity.
You'll see.
Alright, so apparently it's James Blackwood alive in the basement, and Catherine's body is the one we saw in the crypt. So the plot thickens. Things are coming together. Okay, but we have a new date, so you know what that means. We're going to go up to the attic and find a newspaper article written on the day that Jerry gave us. Alright, I went through the news during June 1963. The article wasn't as informative as I had hoped, but there was a phone number scribbled on the page. The Journal, Northumberland Daily Newspaper, Wednesday, 1st June, 1963. Following the shocking news that became of public knowledge last week, we must now inform about the sinister outcome of the story that has been in the mind of every citizen of our town these past few days. Mr. James Blackwood has died at the age of 56 due to a heart attack, allegedly because of the pressure and stress caused by the astonishing accusation by Mrs. Eva Mariani, former maid of the family. This puts a sudden end to the case deferred by the authorities. Police Chief William Bailey said, "It saddens me that Mr. Blackwood was never brought to a proper trial. No matter what kind of excuses could be possibly made, the death of Mrs. Catherine Blackwood is a fact. I'm fully convinced that he was guilty." Which is probably an inappropriate thing for a policeman to say, but whatever. Dr. Christopher Milton is said to be taking care of a funeral that nobody will attend, and all the belongings of the Blackwood family are now in his possession. Silently, Rothbury returns to daily life, turning the page over one of its darkest chapters. Many will wonder in the years to come what really happened inside Blackwood Manor. And we have a phone number for William Bailey. I think this is the same story that they keep talking about. In the other newspapers, there's a little bit more on the next story at the end of the article. I think it's all the same. I can't remember if it's the exact same wording, but it's the same story, I believe. Not important. Anyway, we're going to write down this phone number because we're going to call William Bailey and ask more about the details of this case. Okay. 0, 1, 6... 6, 5, 6, 5, 2, 1, 7. I probably should have saved it.
Who is this?
Hi, are you Mr. William Bailey?
That's me. And you are?
Yes, my name is Michael Arthade. I'm a journalist for a local newspaper in Rothbury.
I see.
Well, you're the former police chief of this town, aren't you?
Indeed. I served many years ago.
And you were once in charge of a famous, or should I say, infamous case here?
Ah, bloody hell. Don't tell me this is about James Blackwood.
Well, yes, I'm writing a story for my newspaper. The most famous police cases of Northumberland.
Have you got any idea how many times I've talked about this? Go to your nearest library. I'm sure you'll find plenty of information about Blackwood there.
Please, Mr. Bailey, I beg you. It won't be the same if I can have the information from someone who was there, and no less than the renowned William Bailey of Rothbury.
All right, son, spare me the nonsense. What is it you want to know?
Well, in the first place, what did Ava Mariani see exactly?
She saw enough, son. James Blackwood was dragging a shape into a hole in the garden. At first, Mrs. Mariani couldn't realize what it was, but eventually she made out the dead body of Catherine Blackwood with a serious wound.
And Blackwood was automatically deemed guilty?
He was found digging his wife's son.
Why did James Blackwood never appear before a jury?
When you're someone as renowned and famed as James Blackwood was, you can pretty much avoid the authorities. However, you can't avoid justice. And justice was brought upon James Blackwood.
Justice? How?
He died shortly after the accusation. You should know about that.
A week later, I think.
What happened to Dr. Christopher Milton?
How should I know? You bet your life that slimy worm was up to something. I couldn't prove it, though I spent years investigating him. A shame we couldn't implicate him as much as James Blackwood.
Are you saying he could have had something to do with the murder?
Blackwood and Milton were very intimate. Milton did the impossible to aid his friend, and even clear his name after he died. You do the math.
And was ever determined the cause of death of Catherine Blackwood?
Yes, partly. Mrs. Mariani managed to see her throat was slit open. Ripped, she would say. It must have been horrible for the poor girl.
Still, everything sounds so vague, as if something were missing.
Are you questioning my performance on this case, son?
No, sir, not at all. I'm just trying to figure this out, like why a proper autopsy was never done.
An autopsy to whom?
Please, sir, this is very important to me, and I could really use your help. I'm trying to fit all the pieces of this mystery together.
Mystery? What mystery? You must be one of those people that just love splitting hairs, don't you?
I don't think I understand, sir.
Listen, son, that cold-blooded bastard murdered his wife, God knows why. But he and his fancy doctor did the impossible to hamper our investigations. You don't have to be a brilliant detective to realize Blackwood did it.
There's always a reason behind a murder. Nobody has ever found out why Blackwood did what he did.
Psychopaths don't need any reasons, and James Blackwood turned into one, precisely.
There's got to be something else. I can't believe Blackwood flipped just like that one sunny day. It doesn't make any sense.
People flip, son. You could be flipping right now without knowing it.
Well, then tell me how Blackwood reacted when you pulled his wife from beneath the ground.
I beg your pardon.
I mean Catherine Blackwood's body when you dug in the garden of the manor.
Like I said, they hampered the investigation. We never managed to set one foot inside the manor. What kind of bloody journalist are you, son?
But are you telling me you never actually retrieved the body?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Now, if you don't mind,
But wait, this doesn't make any sense.
stop wasting my time, damn it. I was enjoying my retirement until you had the brilliant idea of calling me. I don't want to hear anything else about this case ever again.
Please, Mr. Bailey, don't...
Leave me alone.
So, it's possible that Catherine's body is still in the ground. and we need to find her. So, I'm going to save real quick. And we'll check what time it is. Now it's 2 o'clock. See, we've progressed. Okay, so we need to find where her body is. So, let's check the mail. We will check the mail. Because we're expecting a letter from our receptionist. Even though I was anxious to read the letter, I tried to remind myself that I should give a raise to my efficient assistant. Alright. April 28th, 1963. So this is the letter that the servant girl, Eva Mariani, wrote to her mother. And we're going to read the translation, because it was originally in Italian. Dear Mother, I spent the whole morning running a few errands for the Blackwood family, and on the way back, many thoughts crossed my mind. I take back what I said. I want to return home. Things haven't got any better here. Everyone is behaving mysteriously, and they try to avoid me. I do understand that they must still be disturbed about the death of their son, but it has been almost 2 years since that already. I feel like an alien. I don't belong here anymore. And I find it hard to sleep at night. There's too much activity in this house, too much moving around, and that is unnerving me. I feel something terrible is going on here, and I want to go as far away as possible. I will miss Mrs. Blackwood dearly. She has always been kind to me, but I'm afraid my health is at stake. And I've been seeing some strange things, too. I can't explain it, but I think someone did something very wrong. That Dr. Milton would often come talk with the Sir for many hours, and nobody would allow me upstairs. Although I've been secretly taking pictures there, I hope this doesn't upset you, but don't worry, they are well hidden under a loose board beneath my bedside table. Please, Mother, forgive me. I know I should have listened to you. It's not like I'm stubborn. I just wanted to wait and see if things would get any better for myself. They haven't, and that's why I'm asking you for a place to stay until I sort out my situation. Call me as soon as you can. I usually have to stay in town until 5 o'clock, but lately I've been coming back about an hour earlier, which is how she saw the death of Catherine. I just want to leave this place. I confess that I'm scared. I'll be waiting, and please hurry. With love, Eva. So, we now have discovered that there's a loose floorboard in her bedroom by her bedside table. Let's go take a peek in there. I want to take a minute to discuss this game. If you're just now tuning in to this video, if you haven't watched the previous videos, this game is abandonware, so you can't purchase this game anymore, but you can download it, albeit illegally, but as I've also explained, Agustin Cordes is fine with that because he wants people to play the game. You can get this game on an abandonware website that I found from Vote for Holt. It's in the description, as well as the interview with Agustin Cordes explaining the abandonware situation and whatnot. All linked in the description. You can easily download it and play it. It's super easy. But I will also say that the music in this game is fantastic. I might have mentioned it before, but the game is made by Cellar of Rats, which is a person who has done very few projects, and he's very talented, and as far as I can tell, he doesn't do music anymore, at least not for games, at least not in any public way. So this game really is a treasure, and thankfully we have websites that archive abandonware so that we have treasures like this game, because Cellar of Rats' work is forever immortalized in this game, and it's very much appreciated. It's very good soundtrack. And there is the loose floorboard. And here's the picture of James Blackwood digging up his wife. Ooh, spooky. But note that we see where he was putting her body. She was looking out this particular window, which I'm not sure if we can find this window. I'll try and find it. But I think, do we take this or do we just look at it? We don't take it. Okay. So I want you to note the shadow. The shadow here is one of the spires, is the top spire, the tower, in fact, I think. And so wherever this shadow is on the ground is where the body was being dug. So we need to find that shadow in the garden so we can figure out where to dig. But let me go upstairs and see if we can look out this window. I don't think you can, though. Okay, you can't. So let's just go outside and see if we can see that shadow on the ground. And we'll take a peek at the clock, too, to see what time it is. Alright. Oh, it's still 2 p.m. Okay. It's possible we gotta call Jerry one more time before we do this. See if I can see the shadow on the ground. I think you can. I see it. See it right there. The soil in this area of the garden was devoid of life. Okay. I do see the shadow on the ground. Let's see if we can dig up. And the hitbox for this is a little tricky. Let's try here. No. You know you got the right spot when you hear sad music play. That's not the spot. But it is around the tip of the spire, and it's kind of hard to figure out where the hitbox is. So I think it depends on where the point of the shovel is. I can't remember if the hitbox is in the middle of the image, the spear of the shovel, or the handle. Let's try the tip of the spear here. Nope. This might take me a minute. It's also possible that I'm at the wrong time of day, because she did say she's usually in town by 5 o'clock, but she's been getting home earlier. So that might mean we're supposed to wait till 3 o'clock to do this. But I feel like it wouldn't let me do this if it wasn't time to do it, you know? I could be wrong, though. Maybe I'm wasting my time. Let me go see if I can call Jerry. And if I can't, we'll try again. Actually, first I'm going to read my journal, see what my journal says. Reading the article about Blackwood's death was almost fruitless, except that there was a phone number on the main page. It would seem like someone was planning to phone Mr. Bailey. I wonder if that call was ever made. Yeah, interesting. I didn't think of that. I have just spoken with the retired policeman, William Bailey. I can barely believe what I've just heard. Catherine Blackwood is still buried in the garden, but what about Blackwood then? Okay.
Yes?
Jerry, it's me.
Michael, I was about to call you.
Why?
I've been thinking about what you told me, and you could be onto something there. But I'm worried about your safety now. This could be dangerous.
What do you mean by dangerous?
Well, let's suppose you're right, and James Blackwood is indeed hiding somewhere inside the house. He's a madman, a murderer, and your life could be in danger.
Jerry, if James Blackwood is still alive, he'd be nothing more than a harmless, decrepit old man. I don't think I'd have any problem outdoing him.
A woman
And
wouldn't
what
think
if he is
that.
armed?
I'm willing to take that risk. He surely knows I'm here by now. What if he's waiting for me to leave so that he can escape? I can't miss this opportunity.
The opportunity of what, for Christ's sake?
Of knowing. I'm already too much into this, Jerry. And if I don't know what happened inside this house, I won't be able to sleep again.
You're obsessed. You were supposed to finish your book, get some rest, and now look at this. What are you going to say to your editor?
Who knows, maybe this whole episode inspires me to write that ending. I'm sorry. I can't leave this now, Jerry. It's too late.
I can't believe this. I don't understand you. Doesn't the possibility of spending another night in that house with a creepy old man hiding in the basement scare you?
I know what you're trying to do. Goodbye, Jerry.
Michael? Michael! It's dangerous, do you hear me? Dangerous! You have to leave that place!
I'll keep you informed.
Jerry is very insistent that we leave all of a sudden. That's weird. Also, he says he'd be a harmless, decrepit old man. I bet I could take him. That's something a woman never thinks, at least from my experience. It's just, I just feel like that's a very distinct male instinct. Like, I feel like that's something that men commonly think. Like, I wonder if they just look at men on the strangers walking by, like, I could take him. I could probably take him. Like, that's something that women never think about. Like, if there's a creepy old man in the basement, I never think, it's fine. I could probably take him. I'd never think that. I'd be like, creepy old man in the basement, I'm out of here. It just feels distinctly male to me. I could be wrong about that. I'm not a man. I don't actually know. But it feels like that's not the response I would have if I was in this situation. So, Jerry is very insistent on us leaving. Let me check the clock first. Let me check to see what the time is. Ugh, I keep doing that. It's still 2. That's weird. Okay. Let's see if our journal has anything new to say. It doesn't. I'm going to check the mail, because we are supposed to get a notice in the mail. And we've got a note. No, I don't want you. I want the notice. Notice of eviction, October 12th, 1976. Mr. Michael Arthate. Due to irregularities during its acquisition process carried over by Mr. Jerry P. Carter, you are to immediately leave the property known as Blackwood Manor. If you fail to comply, legal proceedings will be enforced against you. You have 2 days to effectively abandon the property after the issuing of this notice. We take no responsibility for the courier service. A police officer... I think my dog's at the door. A police officer is due to arrive at the Blackmore Manor on Tuesday, October 15th. Should you be present, you'll be immediately taken into custody without further notification. The National Trust. So, the National Trust has an interest in this house as an historical house in Rothbury. And apparently Jerry acquired it by less than legal means. And so now he all of a sudden wants us to leave because he knows he's about to be found out. Jerry! So that was the reason why Jerry wanted me to leave the house so badly. I bitterly realized that he wouldn't come for me and that it was up to me to find a way to leave the house. Seems like he's not a friend after all.
Come on, Bucky. Bucky, Bucky, Bucky. Look at this boy. He's on a boy. Yeah. He wants to be my buddy. He's a good boy that way.
Okay, let's see if we can call Jerry, see if he has any explaining. Well, he has explaining to do, but see if he will explain. He's a no-good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing non-friend. I did want to speak with Jerry after the incident, and I felt the same way ever since. So we're never gonna hear from Jerry again. Alright, and now let's see what time it is. 3! It's 3 o'clock. And journal... Jerry fooled me. I can't believe he did this to me, faking the acquisition of the house. I've known him for years. I'm deeply hurt, but more so worried. I have a few hours left to do something about Blackwood Manor. If I don't succeed, the solution to the mystery will be lost forever. I can deal with Jerry later. That's sad. That's awful. Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Alright, so now I think we're able to do this part. I don't think we were able to do it before, but now I think we'll be able to do it. Now it's 3 o'clock. So let's try. Come on. This hitbox is a struggle. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. You know it used to be mad love. Just take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Now we got problems. And I don't think we can solve them. You made a really deep cut. Baby, now we got bad blood. Hey! Band-aids don't fix bullet holes. You say sorry just for show. If you live like that, you live with ghosts. Band-aids don't fix bullet holes. You say sorry just for show. Up further? Oh my gosh, I can't find it! Maybe there's one more thing I need to do. It's possible that there's one more thing I need to do. He'll talk about all kinds of mistakes that he made and things he would change from the game and whatever. I don't think he should change a thing. I think it's perfect. Because she did say in town till 5, but I've been getting back earlier. So maybe she means 4 o'clock. So maybe there's one more thing I need to do before we can do this. I also think it's possible that this shadow is supposed to be more defined when you know you're supposed to do something with it. So that's a little confusing, but we can do one more thing. Alright. So now that we know Jerry's not coming to get us, now we can open the boot and take the car battery. And we're going to charge it up using the dynamo in the garage. That was... What do you mean? Yeah. Am I supposed to do something with it? Or put it here? There we go. No. Use the thing. There. There was an old rusty bicycle. Yeah, okay. And now we're gonna charge it up. Just one pedal will do. Which is all you really need. Because with car batteries, the car charges the battery as it's running. So if it just has enough charge to start, it'll charge itself over time. As the car is on, as long as you keep the car on. So it should be good now. Alright, so we're going to try to leave. As I prepared myself to leave the manor, I suddenly felt responsible for disturbing the forces that had, up to now, laid dormant inside the house. I had to do something. I love that. I love the storytelling where you could leave, but the music and Michael just feeling responsible for awakening the curse. It's a great way to get you to stay and to finish the mystery, even though you could technically leave. It's a great moment, a climax moment in the story. So I think that needs to happen. And now I believe it's 4 o'clock. And now we can dig up. We can dig in the garden. Oh my gosh, keep doing that. Yes, now it's 4 o'clock. Now we should be able to dig in the garden. I feel like this is probably a common mistake that players make. I thought I was better than that. Guess not. Okay, and now it's way more pronounced. Now you're supposed to do it. I wish it wouldn't let you dig if it wasn't time. Alright, you ready? Apparently not. Alright. Let's get the point at the very tip of the spire as far as we can go and see if that works. Got it. I was suddenly terrified and saddened upon uncovering the dead body of Catherine Blackwood. All those years, she was left to rot in this improvised tomb. I tried to pull out a tooth without success. So that's what we're gonna do. In order to, we need to complete the ritual. That's what we're gonna do to end this mysteries. We're gonna complete the ritual that James tried to do and tried to get Christopher Milton to do. So we need something from the victim and something from the victimizer, because we already have the branch and the leaves. So this is a victim of the curse, so we need a piece of her. She's already died, so we don't have to do that part. But now we're just going to take a piece of her. Doing my best to contain my repulsion, I pulled out a tooth from the body. Good. So now we have her tooth. Okay. So we need that as part of the ritual. I quietly left, bearing Mrs. Blackwood back to her dead, cold dreams. So that's not Mrs. Blackwood in the crypt that we saw. So perhaps that really is James dead in the crypt. But if that's James, then who is in the basement? Okay, so we have something from the victim. Now we need something from the victimizer. And that is up here in the gallery. If you'll remember, the description of the god was a feline. It takes the form of a feline or a lion. And so we have a claw, a lion's claw here. So we're going to use that as a representation of the god. Okay, so now we have those two things, but now we need to make them less solid. We need to put them in a mixture in a way that they can be mixed together. So we're gonna go downstairs to the kitchen and put them in the grinder. I am wondering if the victim actually has to be dead in order to take a piece of them. Like, couldn't he just take like one of her fingernails or something? But I feel like it probably doesn't work that way. I feel like with curses and whatnot, it has to be more drastic than that, and it has to be an actual sacrifice. Okay, so we're going to put the tooth in there, and we're going to close it and grind. And we're going to open the drawer. We're going to take the tooth, close the drawer, and now we have the ground up tooth. Oh, hold on. Let me open it first. Open the grinder and put this tooth in there. Funny thought. If you've never ground teeth before, it smells really bad. Like, grinding up teeth is kind of disgusting. I only know this because I've had some of my teeth filed and getting braces done. There's that, but also my mother is a dental hygienist, and so she actually has access to teeth. Don't ask me how, I don't know, but she has had access to teeth. I've actually used it for a science project. I had to be in the science fair in like the 8th grade. And I wanted to do the same science project that Lisa does in The Simpsons. And so she, lets teeth sit in soda to see what happens. She ends up making, she ends up creating life that way. But I wanted to see the different effects of different sodas on teeth. And so my mom was able to bring in teeth, and we were able to file it down to expose the roots and whatnot. And the filing process, like the smell of the dust in the air, it's really, it's gross. Not appetizing at all. Fun fact, if you had no thought of that whatsoever, now you do. Now you know. Okay, so now we have those two, and can we combine them? We can. Okay, so those are combined. Now, what we need to do is we need to cook them. So we're going to go make a makeshift burner upstairs. It was a long time ago that we saw this. So it's kind of weird bringing it up now, but, all this time later, we're going to go into this, actually, it might be this room. This room here. Is it this room? No, this is the bathroom. It's this room in here. I believe it's this room. It has a little burner that we're going to turn on and use our last match, I believe. We're going to put this on here. Is he gonna let me set it on? I don't think he will. Let's put the dish on here. This is the paint can lid that we got from the painting room next door. And let me go ahead and put the put this together with that and put it on here. Okay, and now we're gonna light it. Matches using our last match. Perfect. Now we've got what we need. You hear that? There's breathing. Ooh, sounds like something in this house is very upset. Oh, so good. So good. Let me see what the journal has to say at this point. I'm finally putting the pieces together. I'm suffering the same ailment that disturbed Blackwood, and in turn Milton. First the whispers, then the feeling of a presence stalking me in the house. The only possible explanation is that the curse is real, and I have revived it with my arrival. I must do something about this. I have uncovered the body of Catherine Blackwood, so it was true. They never retrieved it. I wonder if her soul has found some rest. Something tells me it won't. With a lump in the throat, I returned Catherine to her improvised tomb. Okay. So now we have the pieces of the amulet. The god knows. The god in that mask. That's who we hear laughing in the background. He knows we're about to do the ritual. We're about to lock him up. It's so good. So creepy. I attached the stone to the branch and immediately felt a strange sensation. The amulet seemed to be vibrating. I was ready. Let's do it! Such a great detail of this game, having the laughter of the god in the background and the heavy breathing. I'm ready for you. Not scared. I'm going to destroy you. As if it were aware of my intentions, the mask now appeared as if to defy me, challenging me to make the first move. I will destroy you with this amulet! In the name of Jesus. I waved the amulet in front of the mask, and then the power of Christ compels you. At first, nothing seemed to happen, but then the atmosphere felt lighter, as if the house had been relieved of a monstrous burden. It's gone. The curse has been lifted. Even the color has changed. Like the filter has changed. It's lighter. The atmosphere is lighter. The curse has been defeated. The curse has been lifted, and now everything is back. Been wrapped up. All the loose ends have been tied up, and now we can leave the house. Perfect. I stood there, paralyzed in terror, as I heard those horrible noises again. They just wouldn't stop. Oh yeah, the scratches. But now, you'll come to see that there's some theories as to whether or not the curse is actually real, or if it's just in Michael's head. Is it due to his obsession and all the things he read that he made the curse real in his head? Is it a supernatural fact that now that the curse has been lifted, now we can hear the scratches during the day? Or is it just coincidence that now at this point we can hear the scratches, and now at this point the wood has been burned in the fireplace, and now a grate has been revealed, and now there's a secret passage. Remember when we went down into the boiler and we saw that hidden door? Well, this must be the way to that door. So we're going to see more. As I went down the fireplace, I couldn't shake the feeling of entering a forbidden zone, a place that had been and was supposed to remain forgotten in time. Okay, so we're going to see, there's going to be a question of whether or not this was real or if it's supernatural. I choose to believe it's supernatural. I think it slightly cheapens the experience if you think otherwise, but I can totally see why you think otherwise, and that is a completely legitimate theory about this story. But beware, this is the scariest part of the game. This is by far the scariest part of the game. This is the part of the game that terrified me so bad that I couldn't sleep. This is... I'm just warning you. The passage was full of junk, and I don't think there's anything we can find here. The only noticeable feature of the room was a filthy, cracked sink. And so here's where we saw through the boiler room. The furnace of the basement was on the other side of this wall. And here is the door. We're going to see what is behind this door. Oh, I remember being soaking wet and shaking in fear, yet I just had to go on as if driven by an unseen force. And I just remembered, well, let's save it. I don't want to murder the vibe, but let's save it. And let's take a look in this journal here. I am ready to perform the ritual and finish what Blackwood started years ago. I feel weird doing this because I'm not fully convinced of this story, but at least I have to try. I know something is wrong with this house and that mask. The mask is silent now, if such a thing can be said about it. Gone are the whispers in my mind and the constant presence around me. I feel relieved somehow, and how to say this? It's almost like the house feels the same way. Am I making sense? Probably not. A single thing does now. Probably not a single thing does now, but I feel fine, and that's only what matters now. The house feels relieved. I see what he's saying. There they are, again, and I can't believe it, but I defeated it. For God's sake, why do they keep coming back? So the scratches have nothing to do with the curse. The noises were coming from below the fireplace. All this time, I must face it, whatever it is. Okay, I might read it one more time. We'll go ahead and look around the room, ignoring the obvious thing. We've got a table here. Pipes rusted long ago were everywhere. Pipes rusted long ago were everywhere in here. Okay, so we've got a table here. There are remnants of food on the table. Someone or something had been eating down here. So something has been living down here. We've got a bucket. Some fresh water was dripping from a pipe, so they've been drinking and eating down here. I thought that was going to be a poop bucket. I'll be honest. So we've got... We'll look at that in a second. We've got some blood dripping down the wall. We've got some meat on the floor. Traces of raw meat. It appeared as if they had been dropped through the grating. Now remember, on day one, we found a receipt about meat packers? So somebody has been ordering some meat company to drop meat down this grate to keep something alive down here. Okay. Can you? You can. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna look... Okay, so we're gonna look at this teddy bear, which is gonna give you the ultimate clue as to who is down here. Does that music sound familiar? It sounds similar to the music we heard in the nursery, doesn't it? A disgusting teddy bear, covered in mud and dirt, was lying on the ground. It appeared to be bites that had ripped its neck. Now, this is very good writing. At no point in this game is everything spelled out for you, but things are written in such a way to where you're reminded of things and you put pieces together. Like the music, for instance, makes you think of the nursery. It's a teddy bear. It makes you think, you know, a child, right? And the neck is ripped. Interesting word. And Michael's gonna tell us why that's interesting. Suddenly, the words of William Bailey concerning the body of Catherine Blackwood echoed in my head. Ripped, she would say. So, what that is doing is it's kind of explaining what probably happened to Catherine Blackwood. And I'll explain that after we discover who has been living down here. This part's the scary part, okay? Now, you don't have to do anything. The game's going to do it all for you. We're just going to experience the spooks together. You ready? Okay. You hear it, don't you? You hear somebody. Yeah, let's leave. Let's just leave. Can you? I don't want to murder the vibe, but can you just leave? I'm curious! Can you? I'm shaking. I'm literally shaking. This part scares me. This is traumatic for me. The ending of this game is traumatic for me. I'm just shaking. It's so scary. I'm gonna see if you can leave. I'm just curious. Oh, look at that! Look at the sky! Ooh! I'm just really curious if you could leave. I'm just dragging this out as long as possible. It's already a really long video, but I'm gonna see if you can leave. I wanted to leave the place right away, but I couldn't, not without dealing with the presence haunting the house first. It was my responsibility now. Oh, please. Okay. Well, that was interesting. I just wanted to see what would happen if you just tried to leave. Like, you know what? Let's not. Ah, the sky is beautiful and scary at the same time. What's the weather outside? Purple. Okay, let's do this. Oh, I thought it just jumped me back to the hole for some reason. Okay. Creepy music is back. Alright, let's end this. Alright, you ready? Let's do it. Alright. So that's that.
Unsure of what I had just seen, I raced my car and left Blackwood Manor as quickly as possible. I'm not ashamed of what I did. That disfigured face is still stalking my nightmares, and I've never put foot inside a Victorian house ever since. But there's certainly one thing that I'm grateful for. It was thanks to my encounter below that house that I was able to finish my book and become a prolific writer.
What's this? So that's what the scratches were. He was trying to dig his way out. Alright. Okay, so a few things that I want to clear up. So it's extremely likely that that disfigured person that was locked in the basement was Robin. So apparently the child didn't die. They faked the child's death. That's the whole mystery of what they did 2 years ago. That the mistake that they regret, that they can't take back. They faked the death of the child, and they've been secretly keeping him in the basement locked away. Which is a cruel, unusual thing to do to a child, but there's a reason why they did that, and not just because he was disfigured. As you can tell from the ripped teddy bear, it's very likely that this child isn't just deformed, he was probably also very violent. And he probably, while his mother was holding him to her, he probably ripped her neck with his teeth. And so it wasn't James Blackwood that killed Catherine. It was actually Robin who did it. If you want to hear more about the details, hear more about the possible theories concerning this game, feel free to check out Vote for Holt's a video essay on this game. It is very well done. He has 2 videos on it. He did such a great job. I'll link them in the description. He'll give more evidence and more of his thoughts and more ideas about what is going on in this story. So Robin was hiding in the basement, and the thing that Milton was dreading and considering doing was killing Robin. Robin was going to be the victim to finish off the ritual. But he didn't want to kill Milton. I mean, Milton didn't want to kill Robin. And there's one more thing here. Hopefully you can see that. You should be able to see it. It's the door. Michael left the door open. So now, one way or another, Robin is loose. Okay, so James was telling Milton, hey, I need you to kill Robin. I need you to kill my son so that we can take a piece of him and make him part of the ritual. Because Robin, he believes that Robin is part of the curse. Clearly his son didn't turned out, a monster because of the mask. And so he wanted Milton to kill Robin. So if you remember back the journal entry that you read in day 1 about Christopher, he's talking about, do I, forsake my vow as a doctor and kill this creature, but I can't, let him out and let him live a normal life because we already told the world that he's dead, and I could go to jail if I reveal that I faked his death, because that's an illegal thing to do. And so that was the decision. He was like, do I stay in this house forever and take care of this creature in the basement forever, or do I kill him? Was essentially the 2 impossible choices. The impossible choice that he had to make was what he was talking about. So Robin was the one, very likely, that killed Catherine, not James Blackwood. And that is most definitely who's in the basement is Robin. But there's more details in the last visit, which will be next week's video. But my final thoughts of the game. This game is so good, so rich in story. The story is very simple. I mean, there's not much to it. This African curse, possibly an African curse, by this mask that he stole from this violent tribe, and now he has to, this because he brought this mask back. These bad things are happening to him. What happens to his son and losing his wife, and so he's got to destroy this curse, and he has to do extreme things to do it, but he ends up dying, and so he needs to get his friend to do it, and his friend doesn't end up doing it. So then years later, the next person to own the house ends up doing it for him, and the curse is now lifted, and so now secrets are being revealed. And there is that question of whether or not this is real or if it's supernatural, which, by the way, supernatural can be real. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, which is probably the way I see it. Most likely is it's both. It's both. There might, just because you can explain it doesn't mean it's not supernatural. Miracles happen all the time that you can't explain. Doesn't mean, and there's miracles that happen all the time that you can explain. Doesn't mean it's not supernatural. But anyway, not to get too philosophical about that. If you'll see in the end credits, you'll see the last image you see besides the door being open is the greenhouse, and the greenhouse actually has flowers in it. You can go with the real route. The reason why plants are growing is because Michael opened the door and some fresh air came in, and so now these plants have some fresh air. Now they're coming back to life, or whatever, however you want to phrase it. Or you can go the supernatural route, that now that the curse has been lifted, now there's life growing in the greenhouse. Because remember, earlier we read the journal, or the journal entry from James that the curse was causing nothing to grow in his greenhouse. I choose to lean more towards supernatural, but I think a both explanation is perfectly reasonable as well. But yeah, I think that's the atmosphere is excellent. The story is excellent. I love the puzzles, even if the puzzles can be a little tricky. The controls are a little clunky. The hitboxes are a little clunky, but still, absolutely love this game. It's a treasure, and I'm so glad that that some individual out there somewhere decided to preserve it for us. But that's it for Scratchos. We're gonna play the director's cut next week. So I can't wait to see you then. Again, if you want to see more, if you want more thoughts on this, I will link the video essay by Vote for Holt in the description. I'll also link Agustin Cordes, the creator of this. I'll link his YouTube channel. I'll link his new game, Asylum, the Steam page, the interview he did with Vote for Holt, and all that stuff linked down in the description. But that will be the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the like button. And leave a comment what you thought of the video down in the comment section. If you're not subscribed, click subscribe if you want more content like this, and click the notification bell so you can be notified the next time I upload. My socials are linked in the description. I have an X account and an Instagram and a TikTok, and I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me as a content creator, or if you'd like to support me as a writer, and if you'd like to read my horror stories. I have one on there right now, but more to come. I am a writer. I write short stories and essays, and I'm currently working on fan fiction and a mystery novel, and it's all on there. A lot of it is free, so if you don't become a patron, you can become a free patron and read some of the free stuff that I have on there on my Patreon, link in the description. But yeah, I'll be playing Asylum shortly, and I think that's it. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a magical day.